So here's Do Kwon, right? And we pretty much know the drill, right? Let's give like a fair recap of where we're at in crypto. 2022. In 2022, the algorithmic stablecoin UST depegged and it was just a death spiral. At that time, most of the Cosmos ecosystem was relying on UST as their stablecoin of choice. In Cosmos, which has most tokens only traded on dexes, they were paired with UST or were paired with Osmo token, which is primarily paired with UST. All the liquidity came out of Cosmos and Terra. I do not have a timeline of everything that happened. You could read this if you want, but some of the things that Do Kwon's accused of and Terraform Labs is accused of, man, it's like they're just in big trouble in the United States. But I have a video here, like maybe he'd be in bigger trouble if he went to Korea, because in Korea, they say that this is the biggest financial fraud ever. He gets apprehended in Montenegro, which is by Serbia, which is where he had another company that he was using to cash out funds from, allegedly. He also set up a new company there. And I guess he was also using Bitcoin ATMs there while he's on the run. So a lot of the customers and investors, I guess we'll call them investors in Luna, they lost everything, but obviously he still had some funds. And he got caught, I guess, on a private airstrip and trying to make his way to, I don't know, Dubai, Singapore, one of those places. Here's Do Kwon on Twitter. So if you're watching this for the first time, I don't even know how to explain this, really. So Do Kwon's PFP is my face. I don't know him. I had no involvement with Terra. I was too stupid to understand Anchor Protocol, so I didn't have any money in Anchor Protocol, which is where a lot of this unraveling happened. There were lockups there. People got wiped out while UST was depegging. And if you're from the SEC, I have no affiliation with him at all. This is like a meme that is now stuck because he's in custody. He can't change his PFP. He got caught like a week or two after he put this up. It's a joke, right? I don't know anything about Terra, really. I'm actually surprised they're still around. But if you're from the SEC, I don't know him. He doesn't know me. He's making fun of me. He probably doesn't know I'm a real person, put it that way. So I'm keeping my PFP that until he changes his. But the reason why I'm covering this is because it hit me like last week that this might be up forever. He might get 40, 50 years in prison. I know that there's pictures in the SEC report. My name's not in the SEC report. I had 5 Luna tokens at the time of the DPEG, and I think I sold them on the way down at like $70. I did have a whole bunch of UST, but it was not bonded. I sent it to Kraken. I sold it for about 94 cents on the dollar, something like that. So Swiss never knew. Swiss, you didn't know that? So let's get to this. That's the best I could explain this. It's a meme. So, what else I want to talk about? Okay, the SEC. So this is really tough to read if you're in crypto, like really in the know. So I don't know exactly what happened with the Ripple case, but I know the SEC didn't look that bright when they were trying to put the screws to Ripple, right? So some of the language in here makes me think not much has changed. Yeah, I'm internet famous and I'm SEC report famous for no reason. So let's get all these graphics off the screen. This is the press release. These are not the charges, but there's some things in here that are like the language again is like, oh my God, we haven't really come that far, right? So it says orchestrating a multi-billion dollar crypto asset securities fraud involving an algorithmic stablecoin. So the language they're using makes it seem like, and this is directed at Terraform Labs and Do Kwon, they're making it sound like They started this from the start as a fraud. That's the language they're using. Like in poker, you would call it like running a bluff from scratch. Like you don't even get dealt your cards, but you're like, I'm gonna bluff this hand, no matter what happens, right? No matter what you get, no matter what the action is. That's what I think of when I hear this language. Also, what is a crypto asset securities? For well, crypto. What is it? Yeah, the language is strange. So So it involves the algorithmic stablecoin and other assets, and not just Luna, right? They're throwing everything at this guy. So they're saying the SEC is saying that from April 2018 until May 2022, that's 4 years, they were orchestrating this fraud. That's what they're alleging. That's what the press release is saying they're alleging, right? So these included these M assets. So these are mirror assets that were meant to algorithmically track um, US stocks, and then a crypto asset security referred to as, so they're throwing this word security into everything, I guess. Crypto asset security referred to as an algorithmic stablecoin that supposedly maintained its peg to the US dollar by being interchangeable for Luna. I don't know exactly how the peg worked. Um, and you could, if you're from Terra, this is so painful for you, and you're going to say, oh, but it got attacked. It would have worked. It was designed to work forever. No, that's just not how it is. If it doesn't stay pegged, it's not a stable coin. So this is what they're saying, that Terraform Labs and Do Kwon marketed the asset securities. I don't know what an asset security is. Why don't they say marketed crypto tokens? Marketed crypto asset securities to investors seeking to earn profit. So they're hitting the language that's in the Howey test, right? That's what it looks like here. Howey test determines if something's a security or not. Obviously, they're going to say this is a security. If you're marketing it, saying that it's an investment and it's an investable product, and you're going to gain from this if it does well, you're a security, whether you think you are or not. And repeatedly claiming that these tokens would increase in value. I never really got involved in Terraform Labs. I knew Terra existed. I never really used the blockchain other than um, to off ramp my Luna, because I bought my Luna in Cosmos. I think I sent it to Terra so it was on the right blockchain so I could sell it on Kraken. I think that's what I did, because when the UST DPEG happened, the bridges were down. You couldn't get stuff through Cosmos after a certain point. Now's the part of the press release where all these guys pat each other on the back for allowing a fraud. They're calling it a fraud. They they allowed the fraud to happen for 4 years, and they didn't do anything until everybody went broke. It's kind of like what they did with Bernie Madoff, right? Let me see if I can fit this. There we go. So yeah, here's the part where they pat each other on the back. I commend the SEC's hardworking staff who remain vigilant. Listen, you don't need a government agency to investigate a fraud after it completely collapses and everyone goes broke. You could have like two people with nothing better to do than look at a block explorer. But they're going to commend the SEC's hardworking staff. Congratulations. You figured out the fraud after $50 billion was gone. Even when the defendants, so now they're talking about Terraform Labs again, even when the defendants attempted to prevent us from obtaining important information about their business. I have a video showing that a prosecutor from South Korea feels that there's most of the evidence actually exists in Korea, and they wanted him extradited to South Korea. Today's action not only holds the defendants accountable for their roles in Terra's collapse, devastated retail, institutional investors, all that sent shockwaves through crypto markets. Yeah. I wish I could read this in like the movie previews voice. Um, here we go. It's always the government's mission to show that crypto is not decentralized. As alleged in our complaint, the Terraform ecosystem was neither decentralized nor financed. It was simply a fraud propped up by a so-called algorithmic stablecoin, the price of which was controlled by the defendants, not any code. This is the part where I'm reading it and I'm like, there's no way they're going to allege this in the actual trial. There's no way they're going to allege this in the actual trial unless they have a lot of evidence for this. This is part of the press release. This is to get people like, because this is going to take place in New York, Southern District Court. They're that this is the place where all these financial crimes, they happen. The trials happen. And it's what Jeffrey Epstein was, right? Trump, right? Trump's $450 million fraud that he has to pay restitution for. It's a Southern District in New York, and they use the word crypto asset securities. They use the language of the Howey test, and now they say that this was a fraud from the start. Like this was planned to collapse. The price was controlled by the defendants. So they're saying that the defendants intentionally depegged the stablecoin. I would be surprised if this is part of the trial. This is just a press release because you got to get the public on your side. Public wants blood when they see a rich guy rip people off. Why would they intentionally depeg their own product only to have to go on the run after? And by the way, what's for me, I'm not saying that they did the right thing and that UST was great and it got attacked. It was trash. It was absolute trash, obviously. It was like a house of cards. What I find amazing with Terra, Luna, UST, Do Kwon, Terraform Labs, what I find amazing is that they still have money after this. So there's another article. Let's find it. Where is it? It's in here. They say that Terraform Labs still has up to $500 million in assets. However, they have roughly the same amount in liabilities. So what's Terraform Labs doing? Terraform Labs filing for bankruptcy protection. It basically allows them to just kind of not get harassed while they're restructuring. I guess they're going to try to offset the liabilities with the assets. I guess their employees still get paid. They're the infrastructure company for the new Terra blockchain, Terra 2. I can't believe they kept the same name. It would be like if, Bernie Madoff's son took over from him and just kept the business and the fund name the same, right? And just put a 2 at the end of it. In the end, one thing you learn from Luna is that you don't have enough buyers if a lot of people want to sell at the same time. There's not enough liquidity. At peak bull market, hey, you could sell it, tons of it. But look what happened after this depeg. Look at all the other tokens. The altcoins got absolutely murdered. Even Bitcoin lost like 60%, right? Something like that, 70%. There's not enough liquidity for this stuff to happen. There's just not. One community pool spend can tank a token, at least temporarily. And I bypassed the tweet about Atom. Man, we got to get to that at the end. They're gonna liquidate their community pool. It's not going to be good for short-term price action. Here's the part that I agree with Ray Raspberry. Market interests who had incentive or interest in sinking the boat added so much water to the boat they overwhelmed the buckets. Yes, whoever was a part of this, they didn't help by shorting Luna, shorting Bitcoin. Smart people shorted the stablecoin, right? If they could, and there were billions of dollars made in the shorting of this market. Totally agree. But that's just a trade. That's not an attack on the protocol. If the protocol went down that easily, it was probably going to fail anyway. Like eventually, like demand would run out for Luna, and then what?